Welcome to The Sound, KQAL FM's weekly behind-the-scenes look at Minnesota-made music. From writing and recording to distribution and promotion, The Sound is your source for new releases and exclusive interviews from Minnesota artists. Support for The Sound is made possible by a grant from the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund. Rolling. Tonight on The Sound, we feature Fires of Denmark from Rochester, Minnesota. Mike Terrill, the creative mind behind the music, joins us over the phone to give us his perspective as we check out tunes from several Fires of Denmark albums, along with the latest single and a song about washing your hands. So stick around. I'm Bill Stoneberg with Mike Terrill of Fires of Denmark, tonight on The Sound. That was Important Enough by Fires of Denmark, and that's from their album Interference from 2019. And joining us today, I have Mike Terrill on the phone. And how you doing today, Mike?
I'm doing great. Well, as great as you can do.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Fires of Denmark. You guys have had 3 full lengths since 2017.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you guys been around?
The project started back in 2010, actually.
Okay.
I had done an album called Versus the Lion.
Mm-hmm.
It's like almost the polar opposite, the yin to the yang of Fires of Denmark. It's like this happy poppy stuff, and I wanted to make a counter album to that. So I started Fires of Denmark back then, but then when I didn't sell a single Versus the Lion record, I got really bummed out and stopped making music for 6 years.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so that happened. Yeah, and about 2010, that was 2010. So about 2016, 17, I started kind of dabbling with it. And that very first EP that I released has the title 2H0017.
Mm-hmm.
That one was my first recording in like 6 years, and I did it in one weekend.
Oh wow!
So, yeah, it was just like a floodgates opened up, and all this music came out. It was really cool, and it was kind of like the birth of Fires of Denmark back again. So, or the first release.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that so? Did it, after taking that time off, did it just like have to come out? I mean, what kind of prompted you to get back into it and start digging in again?
Just life changes. Realistically, it was me getting to 30 and realizing that all those little goals that you have on your chart, get married, have kids, have a paying job, were all checked off. And me and my wife were realizing, like, what do we do now, kind of thing. And we didn't realize it right away. It's I guess they call it the quarter life crisis for a reason or whatever.
Right.
And I was just like, I just need to do music. My wife took the kids out for the weekend. She goes, I'm gonna let you be in the studio for a weekend, and that's what happened.
Wow.
It was really just slowing down and going like, I want to make some music.
Wow. So I wonder if all that inspiration just kind of built up over those years, and then when you flip the switch, it just came out, or what?
Yeah, it's used to be all I used to do in high school. I used to just sit in my studio or my home in my bedroom and make music all the time.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in high school, I got a scholarship for a songwriting competition back when I was like 16.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just used to be all I did. And then after life happens, I just stopped making music. So
wow. Oh, that's fascinating how it just come back like that, you know?
Totally.
Wow. I was also wondering, Mike, I was reading your bio, and it mentioned quiet dance music, that was kind of like what you're going after. You want to talk about that a little bit? Like, what does that mean to you? What is that?
Okay. I will give you the moment when Fires of Denmark was created.
Okay.
Do you ever like listen to a song and all of a sudden you hear it for like really hear it for the first time, and a song you've heard forever?
Mm-hmm.
Like one of them is Magic Man by Heart. If you listen to the last like 90 seconds of that song all of a sudden churns. It just goes in this crazy like guitar opus. It's so freaking cool. But the one I heard was In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins, right?
Ooh.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So I sat down. I've had the record forever. I sat down between I got some new speakers. I put them on. I sat down between it and just closed my eyes in a dark room, and with like that speaker going really loud. That song starts off with an 808, which is my main instrument.
Oh,
like,
cool.
I've been playing it's the old 80s drum machine, and it's the one that's all over my new record.
Mm-hmm.
That Phil Collins song is the birth of like, I want to make music like this, something that has a groove to it, but it's not like out there shaking your butt, you know?
Right.
So, and like all the little elements of that song were sprinkled all over Fires of Denmark, with all the vocal mixing and that kind of darkness, but has a groove to it.
Mm-hmm.
So that, and like then the XX came out, and I remember them being like this is cool, like this is that kind of feel, like that danciness, but not dance music.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. I love it. And I love Phil Collins, and who doesn't love the 808? I mean,
I know, right?
You know, if folks at home don't know, you know, like Mike said, it's the 80s drum machine. You've heard it all over the place. So, oh, that is fantastic. I love it. And I grew up in the 80s, so I love that stuff. But, well, let's get back into some more tunes here. And the next track we've got queued up here is Failure to Notice Relevance, and that's from Fires of Denmark album Interference, and that's from 2019. Mike, any stories behind this tune?
Yeah, on the album, this is kind of the transition song. Whenever I make music, I usually kind of load the front half of the albums with kind of more of a poppier type music.
Mm-hmm.
And I love concept albums. Like every album I make is like a painting from front to back. If it's not part of something, I'll put it by itself. But that album, Interference, this is really kind of a transition song to it, where at the very end of it, you can hear like there's this echoey 808. So when we get to this part, I kind of do this 808 where they slowly, one's a beat off from the other one, I believe. Ooh. And they slowly fade apart from each other. And if you listen with headphones, it kind of gets this really kind of driftiness to it that really is that's that transition to the back half of the album, which is the more experimental, like longer songs.
Right. Oh, cool. Well, let's check it out. This is Failure to Notice Relevance, and that's from Fires of Denmark right here on 89.5 KQAL.
Maybe it's not enough to get back to the I hope you can leave it all behind the fall. Some truth to get down to.
That was Failure to Notice Relevance. That's Fires of Denmark, and that's from their album Interference that came out last year, 2019. Mike, there's some really cool guitar sounds in that tune. Like,
thank you.
You got the cool, groovy, clean stuff going on,
Yeah.
And then, which kind of reminds me in a way, and I know it kind of reminds me of Daft Punk, but I know they're doing something that's derivative of other things as well, but I love that sound and that groove. And then you've also got some cool distorted leads and stuff. Is guitar your main instrument, or I know you mentioned the 808 earlier.
I know, right? 808's my main instrument.
Yeah.
Yeah, guitar. Guitar is my thing. It is always my love. And I grew up as a metalhead, ironically. Like when I first learned how to play guitar, I was playing Metallica and Slayer and like all this crazy stuff.
Right.
And then I heard Weezer for the first time and switched over to more modern music. But that's a different story. And David Gilmour from Pink Floyd was he was my hero growing up, like when early stages of it. And that and Radiohead's Johnny Greenwood was the next person I kind of fell in love with as a 20-something.
Right.
So then, in college I did. And so that really brought me over to the effects side. But on this record, just for any gearheads that are listening, there is only one guitar pedal.
Ooh, really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I'm not even using an amp. I'm literally plugging my guitar into one pedal, just one, nothing besides some mixing effects, heavy effects, and then the guitar into my board.
Oh, wow. Is it a secret ingredient, or can you share with us what that pedal is?
No, I will tell everyone about this.
All right.
Because it is the best pedal. It is Industrial Electric RM-1N. It's a guy up in Canada. He makes them in his basement. And it is it's a distortion, a reverb, and then a post-reverb fuzz.
Oh,
and then
wow.
the whole thing has a whine to it. It just kind of the longer you hold a note, it kind of goes back, just almost like an old record. And I can't control that. It does its own thing. And it has so much life to it. And then for this album, I also, it's a real, I'll tell a story, you had a doubt. And also I fell in love with a new guitar for this one too. I had lost one of my Stratocasters. I borrowed it to a friend to paint. And then as stuff does, when you give stuff to someone, it disappeared.
Ugh.
Yes.
That has happened to me. That sucks.
And so when it came time to making a record, I was like, I kind of want that Strat sound on there. And so I was kind of bummed out that I didn't have one. So I went on to the good old reverb.com, drawn my sorrows and purchases.
Right.
And bought, I put a couple search things in. I wanted to get a 90 Strat. And I have never spent more than $500 on a guitar. So, but I always like to get used stuff and get less than $500. So I found this old Strat for about $250 from 1991. It was a promotional guitar for a music movie in 1991. Can you guess what it was?
A music
movie? 92. Cult classic about music.
Oh,
music lovers.
You're gonna have to tell me. I don't know.
It's a promotional guitar for the Wayne's World movie.
No way.
Yeah, the white one that's in the thing, in
Yeah.
that case when he walks up, it's like a replica of that guitar.
Oh, cool. Oh, how fun.
I know. So that whole record is just that Wayne's World Stratocaster into that pedal.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. That's fantastic.
And after I got that combination, the record went from, it was going to be this dark synthy album, and without any guitars, but then ended up switching over to this blues album. If you listen to Interference, so in my mind, I classify that Interference album as a blues album.
Oh, wow. Ooh, I'm going to have to give that another listen with that in mind. That's cool.
It's a blues album with lots of modern electronic filters to it, if you want to say, yeah.
Wow. Interesting. Now, I want to get back to the tunes here and play another song, but I'm real curious because you were talking about that pedal and you said there was a parameter that you can't control.
Yeah.
So when stuff like that, because I've run into this in the past too, and when stuff like that happens, do you find that it kind of sends you in different creative directions then? Because that.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
like I hate digital stuff that like has everything on it.
Mm-hmm.
If I could buy, like that pedal's rare for me that has that many functions. It only has like 4 knobs, but
Mm-hmm.
I like something that has 1 knob. Like if it has too much stuff, it has too much stuff. Like
Right.
yeah, that's too much limits to it. All the keyboards I use too don't have a save function on it, so I have to create something every time. You never get it exactly as you want it, but that's life. You know, like nothing ever kind of comes out perfect. I have a philosophy in the studio where I will keep every take I make, unless it's like really horrible.
Mm-hmm.
So I usually will almost always take the first take.
Oh, wow.
So, and then if I didn't love it, then like a painter, I'll paint over it.
Uh-huh.
So, and then I'll like kind of mix it in there, but it's in there somewhere.
Oh, that is cool. I like that.
So it's kind of like it's the way it is. So I will not be. Otherwise, I drive myself mad in the studio, going like, oh, I didn't like how that made a clink noise right there.
Uh-huh.
You know?
Right.
So I can't. So instead of saying that, I say I can't control it. It's going to be in there.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Oh, so it's almost, sometimes limitations like that can be freeing, I think.
Very much so.
Cool. Well, we'll talk more about that stuff in a minute, but let's play another tune here. This one is a single that you came out with in 2018. It's called Of Your Own. And we are talking to Mike Terrill from Fires of Denmark. And here's their tune, Of Your Own, right here on 89.5 KQAL. All right, that was Of Your Own. That's from Fires of Denmark. That's a single that they released in 2018. And I have Mike Terrill on the phone here from Fires of Denmark. Mike, I'm real curious, because that tune, it's a great tune, but it's not on an album. It was just released as a single. And I'm kind of curious because I've seen different, people treating, in this age of streaming, sometimes some artists have kind of left the album behind and are just releasing singles. What are your thoughts on that kind of mode?
Well, it makes sense from a business standpoint to release just songs. Like I told you on the previous segment about how I like to paint, I like to do whole albums, right? Like I see, when I release an album, I see it as one giant painting.
Okay.
And but from a financial standpoint, that doesn't make sense. If I'm only releasing, because to get someone to listen to an album at this day and age, to sit down and go, hey, can you pay attention for 32 minutes to this?
Right.
You might come across something you might not like, but if you don't like it, you still got to go for it for 4 minutes until you get to the next one. It's impossible, right? And then I have made 10 songs. Which one am I going to promote? Which one am I going to spend the money on ads for? All this stuff like that.
Right.
How am I going to find the right person? If you release a single, all of your focus is on one song. You have one message out there. This is the sound I want. This is the look I want. This is all the stuff. It's really easy with that. So the whole audience is listening to a whole bunch of stuff.
Right.
Or, I mean, it's listening to one thing. They're getting their whole focus there. So from a business standpoint, it makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting, I'm kind of curious as to see how the majority of artists will go, with this, because some people, like I've said, there's a couple people I follow on Spotify that they just release a song a month and they don't do albums at all anymore. And it's like, interesting.
So that's the way you're gonna get listened to on Spotify.
Right.
If you listen to an album, you're not like, your songs are not gonna get listened to. One song will get picked up,
right?
But then you have another songs that are just gonna get lost in there.
Yeah.
But I still love albums.
Oh, so do I. And I'd like to say that, I still listen to albums, but I get caught in that trap too,
I know.
But
even my listening changes have changed in the last 7 months. Yeah.
It's weird how the way it's delivered has changed our listening habits,
And there's been times where I've been curmudgeon about that.
Right.
But then I look at, that's been the story of music. It's always changing. It's always changing its medium. People complained when they switched to vinyl records because now we can't do bass, because if we do bass, it's going to make it skip.
Right.
Until they figured that out.
Yeah.
And so,
and we have the 3-minute pop song because of the albums. I mean. So you got to move with it. So releasing singles like that, and that was the focus of that one, was to do a single. So it's a lot poppier than my normal stuff. And that was kind of the intention going into it. I was listening to, what's the name of it? Who's that pop artist that has the tattoo under his eye? Malone. Post Malone?
Post Malone. Okay. Yeah. I'll take that back up. So that was the intention going into that one, was to release a pop song. Because I like to challenge myself. Every album I do is a different challenge. Like going back to the versus line stuff, I always have some sort of limitation that I put myself on these ones. And that song was to not have any guitars, to do a pop-driven song. I had just gotten 2 new synthesizers in the mail, and I was like, I'm going to write a song with these.
Oh, nice.
And I did that one, and then Ready for Sleep was also done in the same 24-hour period.
Oh, wow.
So most of the songs are,
I was just going to say, man, the floodgates are open with you, aren't they?
Yeah, I write a lot. Like last year I wrote 147 songs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, I'm just going to walk away with my tail between my legs right now. Holy cow.
Something's weird in the brain. I don't know.
Oh, that's fantastic, though. Well, that's why we got so much great music from you online.
Yeah, I like it. So. It scratches an itch, and I love it, and makes people happy, so I just keep doing it.
Right. So when you're writing, especially with the stuff you're doing with synthesizers and stuff like that, does writing and recording kind of blend together for you, or do you write everything and then go dump it? Or?
No, that's where I get my speed. I think I like to say I have that much stuff, but if people had the ability to record their stuff while they're writing it, I think there'd be a lot more music in the world. Yeah. Too. Because the writing process I'll typically do is, for example, of that song of your own that we just listened to. I did a challenge where I'd only listen to the pop radio stations. Ooh. For I think it was 2 weeks I did it. So in my car, it was just in the car. I couldn't do it at the home. I still listen to my own music at home. But I just did it in the car, and every time I drive, I listen to it. And I was really actually kind of digging the sound that's happening on pop radio. Like everything's kind of slowed down a bit, and there's been a lot more space in the music, and I'm kind of digging it. And the one I kept noticing was stuck in my head the most is the Post Malone stuff. Right. And I was like, okay, I see his thing. Everything is 3 notes. Da 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 da. Like everything is just like 1 or 2 or 3 notes, and it's always like on the beat. It's simple, like super super simple. Interesting. And so then I wrote in, and I'm like, I'm gonna do a song with that. My vocals are gonna be 1 note. I'm gonna keep it really simple, and that was how of your own kind of has that little pop element to it.
Right.
And then I put on the auto tune for it just to give that little extra authenticity,
Right.
fakeness.
Yeah, that feel. Kind of funny, huh? To put the auto tune on to give it authenticity, huh?
Yeah, right.
Interesting. Cool. Very cool. Well, let's play some more music for people. You have a new single out, Start Living Outside of Time, which you sent me. There's a really cool write-up you did about it, talking about time and the whole concept of the upcoming album. You want to kind of tell people what that's about?
Yeah, this album's been a fun one in the making. This album was also another writing project. I almost always record all of my music myself, with a rare exception of a musician coming in. I'll play all the instruments and everything like that. I had become obsessed with this David Byrne book called How Music Works.
Ooh.
Yes, if you haven't read it, I very highly recommend it. Even if you're not a Talking Heads fan, he talks about the Talking Heads. You can skip those sections if you want to, but the majority of it is him talking about how music works. It's amazing. And on there, he was talking about the Remain in Light album, which is my absolutely, I love it so much right now, by Talking Heads. And they said that how they recorded that album is they'd get the band together and they jam on a bass riff and just repeat the bass riff. How he phrased it in the music is, in Western music, we need something that repeats. In Western music, we need something your ear can catch on to. If it doesn't repeat, then it doesn't hold attention in the Western audience.
Right.
So that's why we have choruses a lot of times. We have this chorus that gets stuck in your head. So in the book, he was talking about how instead of doing a choruses, he realized you get that same effect if you just repeated a bass line in drums.
Ooh.
So the repeated bass line over and over again gets this thing you can always come back in, and then you can go as weird as you want on the edges.
Ooh,
yeah.
Nice.
So I brought some friends over, and Nick Truxell is playing bass. He's the bass player for Silver Lining, and
cool.
He was also my co-partner in Versus the Lion. Like it was the two of us. We lived in an apartment together when we wrote and recorded that album. So that was a lot of fun. So I got him back on playing with me, which is great. He's hanging down the bass for most of the album. Topo. Sean Laurie, who's Topo, local rapper from Winona.
Yeah.
He plays piano on a song and drums on a song, and or the 808 on a song, I should say, and some vocal parts. And then Gina from My Grandma's Cardigan is also playing in the group too.
Oh,
so
sweet.
I know, it's so fun. So we got together one weekend, and we just recorded a bunch of songs and did that same thing where we jam on something for 45 minutes. Have a good time, the band will leave, and I sit there and edit these songs down to these 3-minute little pieces.
That sounds like a blast.
It was the best thing ever.
You're a mad scientist in the studio, man. I love it.
It was the best weekend. So that was probably about 2-3 months ago now. And we ended up making this thing about a concept on where the album would be a concept on time.
Okay.
But like not the scientific time, but more like the philosophical time about how we're like always searching for it in a way where if in our society we kind of like move from one time event to the next, and they're always filling it with something. Like there's never a moment where you're just stopping.
Right.
But now we've been given this opportunity in this life with this new thing. It just completely changed how the song was interpreted in my mind, and it sounds like it was written like today, and it makes me so happy.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and so the whole album is about that. It's a 5-minute long album. It's like, or a 5-song album. It's about 28 minutes long, and the whole thing kind of loops in on itself. It repeats lots of lines from other ones, and the title of the fourth song, or the fourth song's chorus, is the title of all the songs, and like we got really nerdy with it.
Oh wow!
So if anyone likes that kind of nerdy music stuff.
Oh, I love that stuff.
Look for that album coming out soon.
Cool. Are we looking at maybe this summer or something?
Yeah, it's just I'm finishing it up now, just trying to find a good window, and I'm just so excited for people to hear it
Right.
that I had to get a single out now. So
Cool. Well, let's hear it.
yeah,
This is Start Living Outside of Time, and that's from Fires of Denmark. I have Mike Terrill from Fires of Denmark on the phone with us. So let's check it out. Start Living Outside of Time right here on 89.5 KQAL. And that was Start Living Outside of Time. That is from Fires of Denmark. And I have Mike Terrill on the phone from Fires of Denmark. Mike, you were talking about how you put that band together to produce this new album. And I was actually, before you had mentioned that, I was wondering, because the bass sound to me, I'm like, ooh, that's a real bass, isn't it? You know? Yeah. And then I was listening to more of it. I'm like, ooh, who do you have playing on here? You know? So is there like... You know, this album sounds like it's kind of a special thing, you know, but normally, do you usually use like a real bass guitar, or do you prefer a synth bass, or does it go case by case? How do you decide?
All depends on the song.
Okay.
Yeah, that bass is, it's a clean bass, double tracked, and then a third bass put through a tube screamer overdrive to give it like this just full, and it has a little bit of grit to it. Yeah.
Wow, because it's a great bass sound. I loved it.
I know, right?
I loved it. That's the first part I noticed immediately. I was like, oh, I really like that.
And the 808 snaps on that snare, too. It's
totally. Oh, what a killer tune. Tune. You know, I have to ask because I don't know, I'm a fan of The Faint. Are you familiar with those guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, and for some reason, I don't know, as soon as that tune kicked in, that's what that reminded me of. That bass sound reminded me of them, nice. And I love those guys. But
awesome.
Yeah, great job on that tune. I just love it.
I'm not going for you to hear the rest of it then.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear the rest of the album. So I was also wondering, because you use a lot of analog synths and stuff. You know,
yes.
We talked a little bit about that and how, you know, limitation can inspire creativity, stuff like that. But why analog synths over digital? I'm just curious.
Because I'm a hipster? I don't know.
That's what I was going to say. I love analog gear as well, and sometimes I don't know why.
There's something about it. Like I don't know if it's a limitation or what, because after a while you start to learn it. It starts to have like weird spots. Like you can make them sing. But the thing is, whenever I take it out of a box, it's so boring. I get so disappointed every time I get a new synthesizer. I'm like, that's what it sounds like? And then until you learn it. And I think with digital ones, it's just all you do is push a button and it's a completely new sound, a new instrument.
Right.
It plus also I think when you're doing your digital stuff, it's what then recreating it with computer code versus like these actual pieces of hardware that are warming and heating stuff up,
Right.
And it's one of my favorite artists in the entire world, favorite musician in the entire world, favorite composer in the entire world right now is a man named goes by the name of Dream Spook. He's from the cities, or was from the cities. He just moved away. And if you haven't heard Dream Spook, listen to Dream Spook. He's a synth master.
Oh, cool.
And he has this beautiful Prophecy synthesizer that he plays. Anyways, I was talking with him, and I had this little epiphany where I said to him that synthesizers are the only 100% man-made instrument.
Huh. Interesting.
Everything else, you're either clicking a string or something but we've made them man-made at this point with the guitars and stuff like that.
Right.
But that philosophy, like you're creating a sound out of nothing, and everything about it is completely human.
Right. Oh, interesting. I've never heard that kind of take on it before.
I know. So then when you go with the just analog, there feels like there's energy in it,
Mm-hmm.
And I've just always loved it. I can get it big, I can make it fat, and I can control, like having all that control. It's just lovely.
Right. Well, and like you said, there's actual components that are heating up and warming up, and the sound changes. They all kind of have their own personality too. It seems like from it could be the same model.
Yep. But the 808s don't match up. I have two 808s,
mm-hmm.
and when I start them at the same time, they both have their own little drift to them.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
Even though they got clocks inside of them, they're telling time. They'll have their own little bit of drift.
Right.
Like the snare will sound a little bit different on one. When one heats up, the snare gets really nice. And
cool.
if I just turn it on, it has a softer snare. It's fun stuff.
Right. It's the ghost in the machine, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's the soul of the Moog, so to speak. Oh, speaking of which, do you have a favorite synth?
Well, my MS-20 is like my love. Yeah,
that's your go-to.
Yeah, it's a mono synth, so I can only play one note at a time.
Okay.
So it's the one I use a lot for my bass. If you ever hear any bass or stuff, and actually anything you hear that's not a chord, it's usually that MS-20 on my stuff. But I just bought my Dream synthesizer, and I've never been blessed with a lot of money, and I've always wanted to have this the Moog, true Moog.
Mm-hmm.
Like the mini Moog ones that are just like amazing, but they cost like $2,000,
right.
and there's no way I'm ever gonna be able to get one of those, let alone be comfortable bringing it out playing.
Right.
But there's this company that used to kind of get a lot of flack called Behringer, but
mm-hmm.
lately in their company they've been amazing. They've been doing like clones, like modern remakes of these old analog synthesizers with a lot more affordable price.
Oh wow.
And they've been so good at it, and they just made one off the Model D Moog, and it's my Dream synthesizer made affordable for me.
Right.
And I pre-ordered it the day they announced it, and then all this virus stuff made it so they can't make them.
Oh.
So it's been on my wait list since it's supposed to come out in January, and every month it goes, February's coming out. No, it's been pushed back, so I haven't gotten it yet. And I sit there and I just watch YouTube videos.
Right, longing for it. Yeah. Oh, I know that feeling. I used to be a Reverb and eBay hound,
Yep.
And I've recently gotten back into it. It's a very slippery slope.
I know.
But yeah, you also have a tune. I just saw a news report today. You have a song called "Wash Our Hands."
Yes.
How did that come about?
Well, my day job is I manage a coffee shops for Olmsted Medical Center.
Oh, okay.
So we have a couple different locations that I'll run, and amazing job, amazing people, and they all know that I make music. So when all this kind of stuff came in, they asked, "Hey, do you want to put together a song just for like about washing hands?" And I'm like, "Sure."
Heck yeah.
And so I sat down, and that's what came out. And really excited about it.
Wow.
It's a lot of fun.
So it's so if you listen to this song while you're washing your hands, you've washed your hands long enough, right?
Yeah.
And it's
totally.
what, around 47 seconds
40
or so?
seconds. Yep.
So the Wash Your Hands song, it's kind of a little, it's got a little pop feel to it, you know?
That's my, it's the style of Versus the Line, which like I mentioned before is one of my first band, kind of like my alter ego to Fires of Denmark. So it has like all these like overly happy, super poppy kind of songs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really fun to brush that voice off again, because I haven't sang up in that little register in a while compared to the Start Living Outside Time, which is like way down there, and then get back up to the hands.
Right, yeah, cool. Oh, how much fun! That is great. And it's a great way to make sure you washed your hands long enough.
Yes.
You know, what a fun way. So I think everyone should put a Bluetooth speaker in their bathroom. And
stop singing Happy Birthday.
Yeah, stop singing Happy Birthday. Start singing Wash Our Hands. So, well, here it is. This is Wash Our Hands right here on 89.5 KQAL.
If we wash our hands, we can get through this together. And if we wash our hands, this won't last forever. So you'll scrub them all up and get the space in between and rub them until they are clean. And if we wash our hands, we'll beat these germs and see our friends again. We'll wash our hands and see our friends again. We'll wash our hands and see our friends again.
All right. That was short but sweet, and hopefully your hands are clean now. That was Wash Our Hands. That is by Mike Terrill. Mike is from Fires of Denmark, but that song could be a Versus the Lion song. So, yeah. Oh, Mike, this has been a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, you too.
Love your stuff, and hopefully we'll have some live shows soon, and we can go out and catch you live. So,
if not, I'll do it online.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll have to check that out too then. So follow Mike online. What's the best way to get a hold of you? Like if we want to find out when you're going to be live online, or,
I jump between Instagram and Facebook depending on my mood.
Okay.
So, but Instagram, I think, is probably the place I've been settling the most if you want to find the most interesting stuff.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, follow Mike on Instagram and follow Fires of Denmark. So we're going to go out with another tune. This is an older one. This is from the album With Love, which came out in 2018. But this is a song called Lost in Light, right here on 89.5 KQAL. And like I said, thanks so much, Mike. Love talking to you. And we'll do this again sometime.
Yeah.
Thanks again to Mike Terrill of Fires of Denmark for joining us tonight on The Sound. For more information on Fires of Denmark, just look for Fires of Denmark on Facebook or Bandcamp. For more deep dives into local and regional albums, tune into The Sound every Wednesday night at 6 right here on 89.5 KQAL. I'm Bill Stoneberg, and we've just heard from Mike Terrill of Fires of Denmark on The Sound. Thanks for listening to The Sound. The Sound is produced by KQAL FM on the campus of Winona State University. Visit us online at kqal.org. Theme music for The Sound provided by Mike Terrill of Fires of Denmark.